And welcome to the first in this series of videos where we are going to be looking at the various features of G Suite for Education. And in this video we're going to be focusing on Google Drive, looking at what Drive is, how to use it, what the features of Drive are. Before we start, then you need to make sure that you have a Google account. Now if, like me, you work at a school which is a Google Apps for Education school, that's already set up for you. So I'm going to be doing a demonstration which assumes that you have an account like that one. You can use a personal Google account, that's absolutely fine, but you might see a couple of things that are slightly different in my screen to yours, but not much. So the first thing that we do is we're at Google's homepage here, and at the top I'm already signed in. You would have a sign in there, and that's where you would put your Google email address and your password and sign in. And then there's two ways of actually getting into Drive. You've got this little apps icon here, which if I click the apps icon, I can access Drive from there, or you could just type Drive into the Omnibox in Google Chrome, and I'd recommend that you use Drive in Chrome and not another browser. Drive, and then it will find it and pretty much guess that that's the drive you want. So this is Google Drive, and this is what my Google Drive looks like, and the first thing to point out is that yours may not look the same. I've set it up a particular way. I might have files and folders obviously that you haven't got, and there's a couple of options that might look different. First of all, let's look and see what Drive actually is. So what we're looking at here is a cloud-based piece of software. So Drive works on the internet. It allows you a space to store files and folders, and to access those files and folders, and to change them, move them around, rename them, put stuff in them, take stuff out of them. So it kind of does the job that the File Explorer application does on a normal PC or a Mac when you're moving your Word documents and your PowerPoint documents and things around. So you can see in my Google Drive, I've got things that look like folders, and I've got some files as well. The difference is obviously these are all stored online. Now obviously Drive is a little bit more than just a place to put stuff. You can also create and share files and documents on Google Drive. So one of the most important things is the new button here, which we're going to look at properly in a minute, but that allows you to actually create content and to upload content to store in Drive. I thought it might be useful, just before we go any further, just to have a little tour of the interface so you know what you're looking at here. One of the things to point out is that Google are changing the way that Drive looks all the time. So by the time you look at this video, Google might well have made more changes to the Drive interface, which means it again doesn't look quite the same as this, but fundamentally you should see something looking largely similar. So I've got first of all, I've got a logo with my account at the top right. This is because we're a Google Apps for Education school, so we've got our logo at the top there. You've got a search box at the top, and then underneath here is the window where I can see all of my documents and all of my folders and some information about them, like who owns the document, when it was last changed, the size of the file, etc. I can change the way that this looks. So I can change it to a grid view if I want to. I can have a look then at the information about what I've been doing in my Drive by clicking the eye there, and I can swap back to the other view between list view and grid view. I actually prefer it in this view here. Now if you've ever used Explorer, which I'm sure you have, like a file explorer on your computer, unless you're one of those people that just sticks everything on the desktop, and you're not one of those people, are you? But you can just pick up files and move them around just the same way that you do in File Explorer. So if I want to pick up class lists here and I want to move it inside MISC or miscellaneous, I can just drop it in there as I normally would. It's probably just a lot of things you'd expect. If I don't want that file anymore, if I right click on it, I can remove it, and I can do other stuff as well that we'll look at later. But there's my main. That's the area where I can see the contents of my Drive, and then up here I've got like a notification bell, so if there's any changes or files have come in or something like that, I can see that. And then what I can do here is it gives me a menu here which is very similar to the new menu. But basically, you're just looking at a way of organizing stuff at the moment. Now down the left hand side, you've got this view here where I've got my drive, team drives, and then these are actually filters, and we'll look at these in a minute. But obviously what I can do here is if I click that button there, it will show me all the folders that I've got in my drive and that I've set up. We'll look at how to do that later, another time. And then team drive, you may not have a team drive set up, so we won't really look at what team drive is in this video. You can see in here I've got a section where I've got 4 different icons. One for shared with me, for computers, which is again something I won't focus on in this video, recent and starred, because most of the things you're going to want to look at are shared with me, recent and starred. Now this is important. These aren't separate drives, these are filters. So in other words, this is a way of looking at the contents in your drive in a specific way. So for instance, if I double click shared with me, what I will see is the name of any files and folders that other people have created and that they have actually shared with me to access. So if you look at the shared by, you'll notice that none of those people are me. They are all people who've shared that content with me. In recent, what I've got is the names of all the files that have been created or accessed or uploaded recently, as you'd expect, and you can see that it's organized with at the top the most recent going back to earlier this week and before, so I can organize it by kind of when it was done. And starred are folders or files which I have added a star to as some kind of like filter, some kind of way of favoriting them almost. So if I've got things which are particularly important, I can just add a star to a folder like this one. I can just go right click, that would remove or add star, and then that adds a star to the folder, and it enables me to kind of identify ones which are particularly kind of my favorite folders. So starring it works a similar way to adding like a favorite as a bookmark on a website or something like that, but basically it's different ways of viewing your content. And then this is your bin, just like you have a bin on your desktop. This is content that you're actually deleting. Stuff moves into your bin and doesn't actually delete until you want it deleted, and you'll be warned that stuff has gone into your bin. So it's very difficult actually to lose content that you've put into the bin either intentionally or accidentally. So it's useful to have some practice of exploring those views. One thing particularly that people struggle with at first is when someone shares a document and they can't find it, it's because they don't know how to use the shared with me view. So they're looking in their normal drive and the document doesn't seem to be there. It's because it is there, it just has been shared with them, so they need to access it or look at it through that way. So that's kind of an overview of the main parts of the interface. Let's look at what this button is, because this is obviously this is one of the most important things in Drive. This is what allows you to put content into your Google Drive. Your button may or may not look like this. They've changed the design of Google Drive, as I said, fairly recently, and now that's what the new button looks like. But even if it looks different, the function will be pretty much the same. So if I click New, I have a variety of different options there. So new folder means I can actually create a new folder, like I've created these folders to organize my different files and content into. I can upload a file from my desktop, so actually something on my PC, or I can upload a folder from my PC. So files and folders that I've stored locally on my drive, I can upload. So that's really useful for actually backing things up. I don't use a memory stick. If I want something backed up, I'll upload it to Google Drive. You can upload any kind of file to Google Drive. That's again something that people don't always understand. You can store files in there, whether they be MP3s, Word files, video files, pretty much anything can be stored in there. And if you've got a Google Apps for Education account, or that's the way your school's got it set up, you have unlimited storage, so you can put obviously a lot in there. So that's for uploading existing content. Here are docs, sheets, slides, and these are obviously the main ways of creating content within Google Drive. And we won't really look at those in this video. We'll look at those more in some other videos. And then more There are other things as well that I can look at. I've got Google Forms, which again we'll look at later, drawings, maps, and then beneath this are some things which I've kind of plugged in, and again we'll look at plugins and things for Drive and other apps that work with Drive in another video. But essentially you can see that I can create all of this content from using this button. So one of the things I said was that you can upload any kind of file in Google Drive into Google Drive. Now most of the content in my Drive is stuff that I've created within Drive, but not everything. So you might notice here, for instance, that I have got an icon that's a W icon now, and that's because that's actually a Word document, and you can see actually that says slc task.docx. So that's a Word document that I created in Word and I've uploaded to Google Docs. So Google Drive, sorry. So if I actually double click on this, Drive is actually able to preview that. It recognizes Word files, and so you can look at files which have been created in one package and open them within, or look at them within Drive for certain kinds of file. So I could, if I wanted to, open this with Google Docs. So that's really useful, because it means if you want to use Google Drive and you've got a load of content that you already created in Word and you think, I don't want to have to redo all of that, you don't have to. You can actually just import it. Another thing here, I've got a cut GIF, and you can see I'm able to preview images within Drive, so it will support that, that's again really useful. And somewhere in here I've got there we go, a PDF file, and again PDF, I can open a PDF and I can look at a PDF within Drive. So that's incredibly useful. But remember, not every kind of file can be previewed and looked at within Google Drive. Basically, you're going to be looking at images, PDFs, spreadsheets, word processing documents, and PowerPoints. It's also worth noting that there's other ways of getting your content into Drive. You don't just have to click the new button. One of the things I could do if I wanted to is I could just drag a document in there. So let's just let's do that to see what it looks like. I'm just going to go onto my desktop for a minute, and I'm going to find, in fact let's just do it with this. I've got a document here which is a timetable document, and I'm just going to drag this, and you notice it's gone from my desktop and onto here, and I've got a message has popped up saying drop files to upload them instantly to my Drive. And if I do that, it's going to upload it, and it's uploaded that spreadsheet file, which is what it was, into my Google Drive now. So that's again really useful. You can add files one at a time, or you can add multiple files if you want to as well. So one of the first things actually that you find that you might want to do is just to organize your files in such a way that your Google Drive, so that your content is there and so that your content is kind of well organized. So again, if I want to create a folder, I can just go new folder, and then I can call it my stuff, create, and there we go. I've got a folder now called my stuff. If I right click on that, I've got options of things I can do. I can change the color of the folder, so I can make it pink. If I want to, I can do I can star it, and I can move it as well. So if I go move to, I could put a folder inside another folder if I wanted to. So if I want to put my stuff inside my classroom folder, then I can do that. And I'm going to do that because I don't want to kind of create chaos in my Google Drive, but you can see that a lot of these are the same kind of options that you would have within a regular file explorer. And then I'm going to remove that folder because I don't want it in there at all. One of the things again that's quite useful is to look at searching Drive, and as you'd expect from Google, the search options are actually quite good. So if I'm looking, for instance, at if I could just type in the name of a document, SLC, it'll find all the documents I've got which mention or which reference this SLC, the Systems Life Cycle. You can just use the basic search options, but if you click the drop down, and people don't always do this, you can actually drill down and search much more effectively. So I've got the type of file, so I can look for a specific type. So I'm going to look for forms, of which the owner is me, so that means really things that I've created. Anywhere, so I can specify a folder if I want to, if I've got some idea of when it was modified. Anything that includes the name, so I don't want it to include the name, but you can see that I've got some quite powerful options in there for if I want to look for my content in this. So if I click search, these are all the things that I've got which are form documents which are owned by me, and it's found them really easily. So the search facilities in Drive are really powerful, and it's worth having a practice with those to make sure that you know how to search your Drive effectively, because the more you use it, the more content will be in there, and human nature dictates that you will forget what you've added and where and when you've added it and what it is and where to find it. What else? I think maybe I'm only going to show you perhaps a couple more things. We talked about the fact that when you upload a file to Google Drive, what it doesn't do is change the format it's in. So that's a Word document there, and it's preserved the fact that it's a Word document. What I'm actually going to do, so I'm just going to save a document very quickly on my desktop so I can find it quickly, and I'm going to upload it. So I've saved, you can see this is a Word document, and what I'm going to do is actually, if I want to, I can convert documents into Google Documents. So I can change it from a Word document, if I want to, into a Google Doc, and I can do that for spreadsheet documents. I've got an Excel file, I can turn it into a Google Sheets document, or PowerPoint file, I can turn it into a Google Slides document. Caveat is that these pieces of software, Docs, Sheets and Slides, are great pieces of software which are fundamentally the same in terms of principle and functionality to Excel, Word and PowerPoint, but they're not exactly the same. So you won't be able to perhaps use some of the features that you would in your original documents. You will lose perhaps some formatting, some functionality, but if it's just basic documents you're working with, it's fine. But let's just see how that works, shall we? So if I go to settings and settings again, I've got an option here to convert upload. So convert uploaded files to Google Docs editor format, so I can actually change them. So I'm going to click that and go done. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go file, upload, and I'm going to look for the file that I've just put on my desktop, which is Project Lifecycle Scenario. I'm going to open that one, and you can see that it's uploading it. It's taking a little while to do, and it's done it now. And what I should hopefully see is that it has converted, and there you go. Hang on a minute, let's see, last modified, or even better, let's look at recent, because that's just popped in there now, isn't it? There you go, Project Lifecycle Scenario is uploaded, and it's in a Google Doc format, not a Word format. So if I open it, that's what it looks like now. Okay, so pretty much the same. It's imported the table, a little bit of formatting needed there, the image is there, the text is there, so that's a really useful feature, and we will look obviously at more at what Google Docs can do in another video. So in terms of an introduction to Google Drive, I think that's all we will look at. In the next video, we're going to look at the importance of sharing, because sharing documents and working collaboratively on documents is one of the most powerful features of Google Drive and the software that works with Drive, and one of the things that really enables you to use Drive effectively as part of your teaching and learning toolkit. So that's all for this video. We'll look at sharing next time, and in the meantime, have a go at setting your Google Drive up the way that you want. See if you can import maybe some resources that you've made already, create some folders, maybe add some start or color some of the files and folders so that you've got your important ones labeled, and have fun Googling.